It's out, we've been playing it like crazy, and we're here to talk about some of the smaller stuff. Here's 10 Easter eggs and references from the new God of War. Now, please listen, keep in mind, this is gonna have a lot of spoilers everywhere. So think about that first. There's a really cool item reveal about halfway through the game that I want you guys to experience for yourself, as well as just a lot of the surprises in the game. But either way, that being said, let's get started off with number 10. Early on in the game, when you make your way into the mountain, in the mountain's base, when you're trying to figure out that puzzle with the giant hook, if you make a left and walk down that corridor, you'll find a fallen creature, dead for many, many years. Atreus will even acknowledge it. But if you look over to the side, you'll see a little crystal lizard type thing that's very tricky to kill. It's got a glowing tail and it'll burrow in the ground if you're not fast enough. This is actually pretty much almost a direct reference to the Dark Souls and Demon Souls crystal lizards. They're definitely a bit more forgiving here and easy to kill. So early on in the game, when you're trying to make your way to the summit for the first time, keep an eye out for this Demon Souls crystal lizard type thing because it drops some rare loot. And it's just a callback to a great series. Honestly, I feel like so many games now have Dark Souls and Demon Souls references in them. Next at number 9, a small but very cool reference to previous games that is kind of a blink and you miss it type of thing. After your first big fight with your first fire troll, walk over to the side where there's a little diversion area where there's a rune chest. Atreus will read and translate what the rune chest says, and it says something about the Fates.
Say.
The runes symbolize the three Nornies.
Nornir.
The Fates.
The Fates. Comes from them.
Okay.
Now, he doesn't know, but the Fates were one of the bigger antagonists of God of War 2. My personal favorite game in the series, and those villains, those antagonists really kind of dragged Kratos through hell. Now at number 8, let's get down to some of those juicy story references. Some of them are blatant and obvious and you can't miss them. One we thought was really cool, one of our favorites was traveling in the boat, one of the various conversations you have with Atreus. Kratos will basically tell Atreus of the story of the origins of the original God of War game and how he fell into how he is now. He explains giving himself up to Ares and then getting screwed over and then going out to kill Ares, but he uses the analogy of different animals like a horse. So in this analogy, Kratos is basically a horse. I just think that's kind of funny. It's a really good way of subtly explaining the events of the previous game. Now next at number 7, this is a great reference just because we never really get an excuse to talk about this, and that's Stargate SG1. So the new voice actor for Kratos is actually Christopher Judge. Christopher Judge, for those of you that don't know, is famous for playing Teal'c in Stargate. Early on, when you get close to the summit of the mountain and you reach that snowy area, a dialogue exchange goes down like this.
Whoa. I can see why Mom wanted us to bring her here.
Indeed.
Kratos saying indeed like that is actually a direct reference to Christopher Judge's most famous character and his famous line that he says in almost like every episode. It's not much, but I thought it was pretty awesome. Now at number 6, moving on to a more real world reference, there's a puzzle involving multiple seasons and panels that you have to flip when you're trying to restore a platform. And while you're solving the seasons puzzle to move forward, Atreus actually mentions that his mother used to sing him a song that had the same seasons in that order. The seasons and the order in the lyric that they go is winter, spring, summer, and autumn. Now, if you're a musically inclined person, you might know that this is lyrics to a song by Carole King called You've Got a Friend. There's also a James Taylor version, but the Carole King version was the original. We can't play it here for obvious reasons because we'll get a copyright strike, but the lyrics go winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you have to do is call. No, I'm not singing that for you, but basically, I don't know about you guys, but the puzzle and the fact that Atreus' mother sung the song seems like a direct connection to this song. Maybe the creators were Carole King fans, I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Now, coming down to number 5 at one of my personal favorites, because I just love when games acknowledge other video games. Take a look at this. This is in the Dark Elf area, and you have to boost Atreus up to climb through this hole. What does that hole look like to you? Yeah, right? It looks like Bioshock. It looks like the little hidey holes that the little sisters would climb up into. Now, some people have been saying, it's just a hole that you have to put your character in. Every game has that. It's not really anything special. But I think the way it's designed and the way the gold ornately goes around the circle, it looks like an actual callback to Bioshock. I'll take it. Honestly, I think that's cool. Like I said, a lot of these references are small, but I love this one. Now at number 4, let's talk about the reveal of God of War. I think you guys remember when they showed the first E3 gameplay trailer, that whole big scene was amazing. And at one point in the scene, Atreus and Kratos are coming back and a troll busts through the bridge and attacks them, and that's the big show-stopping moment. That was the big moment from the trailer that everybody remembered. Well, when you get to that area in the real game, something a little different happens. After crossing the bridge that you would famously get attacked by the troll in the E3 trailer, you don't. So you keep going, and if you loop around and find a little shortcut. There's a little side diversion with a quick fight between some Draugr and some wolves that you kill and get some loot, and then Atreus basically acknowledges saying, hey, wow, I thought a troll would live under this bridge. You end up still fighting the troll in the same location pretty soon after that, but just the fact that they acknowledged the E3 2016 trailer, that's pretty cool. It's them keeping us on our toes a little bit and acknowledging that many people watch the reveals of games. Now at number 3, this is a small little detail, but a subtle one that we really liked here. If you go to Brock's shop, most notably the main one in the bridge, I don't know if you guys actually caught this because I didn't immediately, but there are shelves strewn about his shop, and every time you sell a collectible to Brock for cash, those collectibles actually end up on the shelves on display around the shop. I'll be honest, I played through almost the entire game before I realized this. Somebody else pointed it out to me. But still, you can go around and browse all the stuff on the shelves and maybe spot some little references with those items too. But at number 2, one of the big references, one of the big acknowledgements, one of the big reveals that got people really buzzing. If you missed this, in the game, I believe it's the second time you go back to Helheim and you enter one of Odin's chambers. There is a wall triptych that has 4 symbols, each representing essentially a god of war from different cultures. You have the Greek symbol for god of war, but then you also get a Japanese symbol, a Celtic symbol, and an Egyptian symbol. You also get reference to these gods and others in Tyr's chamber. You see a bunch of stuff. Even the Mayans are referenced. The room is scattered with a bunch of different artifacts from all different cultures. And besides just the triptychs on the wall, you get more direct acknowledgement of Japanese and Egypt cultures here. A lot of people have been asking, hey, maybe this is acknowledging where the game series will go next. What types of gods and what type of mythology we're gonna kill now. Now, if you pay attention to the God of War series, you know that this world isn't actually like the real world. This is a world where all of the original gods exist on the same plane in the same time period together. So that's just food for thought. That's something to think about if you are a God of War fan. The game does actually continually make references to other cultures and some types of gods acknowledging the existence of other gods from other myths all kind of living together. It's cool. Will we get to see Kratos fight an Egyptian god in the future? I don't know, but I will sign up for that immediately. Now at number 1, this is a really cool little Easter egg because it's actually a physical one. If you picked up the Steelbook version of the game, there are runes on the cover. Now, huge shout out to Wolfstrong1995 on Reddit, who was, from what we can see, the first person to translate these Norse runes, because this Norse message translates to, and I quote, "This is the story of a bear and a wolf who wandered the realms of Nine to fulfill a promise of one before. They walked a twilight path, destined to discover the truth that is to come." Now, while the animals are really a metaphor, this is almost like a back-of-the-box description just written in runes. The story of a bear and a wolf, that's Kratos and Atreus, who wandered the 9 realms, that's the 9 realms of the Norse mythology, to fulfill a promise of one before, that's Atreus' mother, and the quest to basically scatter her ashes. I love that. I'm always fascinated by this stuff, especially smarter people than us who are able to go out and figure out what these things mean. Not only that, the fact that it's kind of like a little Easter egg on a physical box reminds me of something like the back of the case of Metal Gear Solid that would secretly give you hints on how to play the game. We just really appreciate stuff like this, so we wanted to point it out. But those are 10 things we found from God of War 2018. Like I said, a lot of these references and Easter eggs are slight, but they're still pretty interesting. However, I want to know what you guys are thinking. If you've come across any more in the game, let's talk. What is your favorite moment in the game where the story acknowledges the previous games? Stuff like that. Let's talk about anything God of War down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, clicking the like button does help us out. And if you're new, subscribing is a good idea because we put out stuff like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.